But the background to the talk, as John's already said, is the difficult outlook for festivals at the moment. So 78 festivals cancelled last year. And like John, actually, I had 4 on this slide. I had to change it to 5 a couple of days ago when the last one, the most recent one, announced their cancellation. It's a very, very difficult climate and landscape to run a festival. And we look at it, I suppose, through the lens of a ticket agent. That's our perspective on the industry. And there'll be other suppliers who look at it and say, well, we see things this way, we've seen these changes, we've seen maybe things a little bit differently. So I can only really speak from our perspective. But the pressure that it puts on suppliers into the industry, it does change perhaps the relationship sometimes between the ticket agent and the festival. So to give you a concrete example of what I mean, when we're negotiating, maybe it's contract renewal time, it's a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it happens to be, and we're saying, okay, so what kind of deal can we put in place that's going to work for us and for the event? These 4 things come up time and time again, because events need to get more from all their suppliers, they need to get more from their ticket agent. So we get signing on fees or bonuses to sign a contract with us. People are asking for money to be paid up front. The rebate, if it's there, needs to be higher, or if there's not one needs to be introduced. And at the same time, the booking fee always has to be a little bit lower. And of course, everyone needs all their ticket funds in advance in order to make the festival happen. Now, I don't begrudge anyone this, and we'll talk about some of the parallels actually with the journey that we've been on with ticket sellers becoming citizen ticket and some of the changes that we see happening with independent festivals. But we do see businesses, can we say sort of traditionally outside the independent space, putting money into this space to sort of buy a business. And we see festivals taking money from Viagogo, from C-Tickets, from Dice, from Ticketmaster, and I look at that and I think, well, what is the logical conclusion? What's the outcome of all of this? What's the independent festival sector going to look like if we continue on that trajectory? The BBC ran this incredible expose about Live Nation, so the parent company of Ticketmaster. I think for everyone in this room, nothing in that article was news, but I think to the general public, I think it was quite eye-opening. And they were demonstrating how at every point of the Oasis tour, money is flowing into the pocket of Live Nation through the ticketing, the promoter, merchandise, security, the venues, you name it, there's money flowing in one direction. And I think, and I know John thinks the same, this cannot be good for this industry. But it was a dilemma facing us, a similar sort of dilemma, when we were approached by Citizen Ticket, who wanted to acquire ticket sellers and bring the 2 companies together. And we had to look really hard at ourselves and think, what are we giving up to do that? We were a privately owned, completely independent company, and we've been asked to enter a world where there were external shareholders, external stakeholders, who would want to have some say in the way that things were done. And we had to look really hard at ourselves and think, is this the right decision for us? And that's my challenge to the room, actually, for everyone who runs an independent festival, to look really hard at yourselves, at us, at each other, and to think, what does the future of independence look like? Where's the support coming from if it's not from these well-capitalized global corporations? How do we make this sector work? And listen, I do not begrudge anyone taking money. It's a really difficult choice to make, right? Everyone I spoke to has said I couldn't have run my festival if I didn't have some other source of funding. And I would never begrudge anyone for making that choice, because I know how important these events are to you, to the people that go to them, and so on. But I do want us to think about it. So at Citizen Ticket, we think about it a lot, and John was very clear. He said, this cannot be a sales pitch. So I'm just saying in advance, it's not a sales pitch. It might look like one, and the words might sound very much like one, but it isn't, okay? So as long as we're all clear. But no, to be transparent, the things I'm going to talk about, they're not necessarily unique to Citizen Ticket. I'm sure there are lots of other companies that would work in this way. But they're changes that we see in the ticketing landscape, particularly with respect to independent festivals. Changes that will happen sooner for some festivals than for others. But see what you think. I'm going to talk you through four changes that we see happening in the ticketing world at the moment. So the first change we see is that ticketing is becoming more about software. So let me explain what I mean by that. So is anyone here, let's get a show of hands, let's wake people up a little bit. Anyone use Slack within their business? Yeah, so quite a few hands there. What about Xero for your accounts? Yeah, got quite a few. Okay, great. I won't go through all of them, but you get the point, right? There are products that you use, you pay for them, you use them, they do a really good job, so you keep using them. And they're not so much about the personal relationship and more about the fact there's a good product that you want to use. And that's how we see ticketing going. It becomes more about a software subscription than a relationship that you have to renegotiate every year, every 2 years, and so on. So the way it works with us is that you can pay a low monthly subscription, you get access to the software, you can do all the ticketing, all the management through that. We don't charge booking fees, and it's really important to say. I know there are some challenges around those, I mentioned them earlier on. But if you want to, you can set your own booking fees, and then of course you can keep all the money that you generate from those. And just to give you a really quick worked example, I'm sure you can do the maths. If you sold 2,000 tickets and you put an £8 fee on, that would be £16,000 of additional revenue for your festival. So we're looking at other ways to help you generate more revenue for your event. So that's the first change, ticketing becoming more about software. For the second one, it's unlocking instant cash flow. I couldn't run a business if I got paid once a year, and I don't see the festival should be any different. Of course you need regular payments. You've got people's wages to pay, you've probably got office rent to pay, you've got suppliers and things that you need to pay for up front. So you take the payments using your own Stripe account. It's paid out instantly into your bank account, and there are no funding delays because we understand how difficult it is if the financial rug is suddenly pulled out from under your event and the money you were relying on is no longer there because someone said you can't have it, sorry. So we think that's super important. The third point is, we think you need to build and own your own communities. Now, a good friend of mine, Elle from the Ticket Crowd, she's over there filming, thank you very much. She spoke here last year and she talked a bit about this, but I've got a quote from her, maybe for her too. We want to go to festivals that other people want to go to. It's human psychology. The best marketing isn't shouting for sales, it's building a community that does the talking for you. We think there's a danger that if audiences are sort of put into this kind of homogenous melting pot of the sort of big global ticketing companies, that it doesn't become your audience anymore and you're just another voice competing for attention. But if you can build and own your own audience around your event, you've got a community that will support you when times are difficult and go to your event because they love going to the event, not just because someone shouted louder. I'm going to talk more about community support at the end of this talk, so in a few moments, when we have an announcement to make. So that's the third point. And then the fourth is, no surprise, we're all going to be harnessing the power of AI to get more from our data, from our customers, from our events. I was talking to someone earlier, and I hope everyone does this. I was saying how when I use AI, I'm always really, really polite. I hope everyone else is. Thank the AI, say please, just in case you don't want to be first when the AI becomes sentient and starts looking around. And we've built AI that can answer your customer queries, so if your customer decides at 3 in the morning they absolutely have to know if they can bring their dog to the festival, the AI can answer it for you. And the bit that I really enjoy is you can ask it really complex questions. You know, do older people buy tickets further ahead than younger people, and what are the best marketing channels to reach them? And it will answer, and it will also show you the data so you know that it hasn't just made it up, because it does sometimes do that. So there are 4 ways in which we think ticketing is going to change. So that was the bit that wasn't the sales pitch, so I promise you it wouldn't be. And the announcement I want to make, the really exciting bit, is the first of 2 announcements today, and I think they're actually both really, really good initiatives. So I was chatting to John, I said, look, you know, we can change the way the ticketing model works, and maybe other suppliers will change the way that model works, and that'll help. But I think we could go a little bit further. And we were talking about all those festivals that have cancelled, and were unable to run for financial reasons last year, and won't be able to run this year for the same reasons. And we came up with the term fallow festivals. So festivals that haven't stopped forever, but they've paused because they can't make it work at the moment. And today, in association with the AIF, we're launching the Fallow Festival Fund. Not just because of the alliteration, but because we think it is a genuinely good initiative. But what is it? It's a crowdfunder and it's financial support for those festivals that have been struggling to run. We're going to be raising money and we're going to be providing a couple of things, so actual support in terms of services to festivals and also distributing the funds that are raised through the crowdfunder. The AIF has pledged free membership to those festivals that are struggling and support from other suppliers. Here's what we're offering. You can use our platform completely free of charge for your first 2,000 tickets. If you only sell 2,000 tickets, it's completely free. You won't pay us a penny. And if you sell more, it'll be free until you've hit that point. Obviously, as I said before, we won't touch the booking fees or set them. That's entirely up to you. And you can use Eventry, our industry-leading accreditation platform, free of charge as well. To the suppliers in the room, what can you offer? Is there something that you can add to the fund, to the Fallow Festival Fund, that can be distributed, that can be given to these festivals that are struggling financially? We'd love to hear from you. I'll show you at the end how you can get in touch. But please think if there's some offering that you can bring so that we can flesh this out and it becomes really well-rounded and everyone can benefit from it. It goes live today. The press release has been sent to the media already. The website's gone live. This QR code will take you to the page that we put together. This is on the AIF's website. So what that page will tell you is how to donate money to the fund if you can, how to offer your services if you're a supplier to the industry and you'd like to help. And if you're a festival that's not quite sure if you're going to be able to go ahead or hasn't been able to run for financial reasons, it'll show you how you can get support from the fund. The AIF are giving a lot of time to coordinate all of this and to manage the distribution of funds and the admin behind it, so big thanks to them for doing that. We certainly couldn't have done that, but we're really proud to launch it with the AIF today. That's the end of my talk. Thank you everyone for listening. You've been great.